This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Aboim. Good morning. Welcome to our viewers on Torah Anytime as well. I want to dedicate this year for the Atzlacha of Ben Zion Ben Dosa, him and his family, and Le'ilui Nishmas Abba Shaul Ben Malka. Mitzvah Hashem should be a Meilis Yosher for the very important and Chashuv Shaulov family. Mitzvah Hashem. We're dedicating the shir to Abba Shaul Ben Malka. Mitzvah Hashem. Parashas Shemot, ve'ele Shemos bnei Yisrael habayim Mitzrayim. Why did they have to go down to Mitzrayim? What sin caused them to go down to Mitzrayim?
Golden calf. Food.
Say it again?
Golden calf.
The golden calf. This is going to happen hundreds of years later. Food? What about food? What sin? What sin caused them to go down to Mitzrayim?
Selling Yosef.
Selling Yosef. Nedorim Lamed Beis. What are you saying? The selling of Yosef. Anything else? Well, if you have to be expelled out of your land, out of a holy land, to go to the most Talmudic place in the world, it sounds like some kind of a sin is involved. Big Chiddush. Pri Megadim. It's not a darshan. Pri Megadim in Eshel Avraham. It's a halacha. Pri Megadim. Milanu Godol Pri Megadim. In the Simin Taf Reish Pei, and he says the Torah itself tells you. Ve'ele Shemois. Ve'ele is Rashi Tevos for Ve'avak Loshon Hara, because for the selling of Yosef they went down. The selling of Yosef came about because of Loshon Hara. Loshon Hara sends the Jews out of their place for the second time. This is the first time, but Pile Ploin. Sfono. Uvnei Yisrael paru vayishretzu vayarbu vayatzu b'yamot me'od. They increased the numbers, right? What is this word vayishretzu? What does it mean vayishretzu?
From sheretz.
From sheretz? Does it mean to increase in numbers?
Crawling around.
Creeping creatures. Says the Sefono, play on words. Paru vayishretzu. After the 70 people who came from Eretz Yisrael to Mitzrayim died, Klal Yisrael went in the ways of shratzim. Shratzim are the creeping creatures, meaning they went sour. Shratzim. Sheratzim, that run live'er shachas, to the pit of destruction. Shratzim, sheratzim. That is vayishretzu, as Rabbeinu Asforno. So in this pasuk, Bnei Yisrael paru vayishretzu vayarbu mitzod, Rashi brings famous Chazal that one woman gave birth. How many? 6 tuplets. 6 in one shot. Ever happened before? After? Is this going to happen again? 6 in one shot. Is this unique to the women in Mitzrayim, or do we have more examples of that? Riddle of the day. There's going to be more. It happened in Italy once. I'm talking on a regular basis. Can be more than 6. And it happened more than 6. Not everybody together? Only 4 answers. First answer at the end of Parshas Bereshis. Bnei ha'Elokim, either the ministers or angels, come down from above, and they're with women who are from this planet. And the Medrash Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer and Medrash HaGodlo says, Shehayu molidin shelo ketivo shel olam. They would give birth not in a natural way. Shisha bekeres achas. Every single time a 6 tuplets. And not only that, ve'yotzin umehalchin al ragleihen miyad. They came out and started walking. A 1 day old, started to walk. Chiddush. Medrash HaGadol and Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, 2 midrashim. 2 different midrashim.
Outer space came down.
No, that's the pasuk. The pasuk says, Perek Vav pasuk Beis or Gimel over there, Bnei ha'Elokim come down, and they're with women whom they selected for themselves. That's the language of the pasuk. Out of this union came out these kids, 6 in one shot, and they start walking the day that they are born.
Would they die normally? If they weren't born normally.
That you'll tell me what the latter part of the Medrash says, and you'll come back with answers for that. I don't know. Second answer, the generation of dispersion. Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, again, Parshas Noach, those who build the tower, they would give birth 6 tuplets every single time. Third time, the wife and the 8 daughters-in-law of Oved Edom, where David HaMelech left Aaron Habris, he left it there, and the Gemara says in Brachos Samech Gimel Amud Beis, they would give birth 6 in one shot. And the 4th time, Le'asid Lavo, right here. Shabbos Daf Lamed Amud Beis, Le'asid Lavo, in the future, a woman will give birth 6 kids in one shot. Bekorov, Be'yameinu, Ve'noimar. I don't know who's going to take care of the kids. I actually do know. I think I do know. Shabbos Daf Lamed Beis, the Gemara says, one who is careful in the mitzvah of tzitzis will have 2,800 avadim. 2,800 avadim. What do you need so many avadim? What do you mean, why? If you're having 6 kids every single day. Asida isha shetelet b'chol yom. Every single day. And every single day that's 6, you're going to need a lot of people to take care of all those kids. But Shira Shirim Rabba in the Medesh Parsha Aleph Ois Gimel, and the Medesh says Rebbe would sit and give a drasha, and he saw some of the Talmidim are dozing, or they're falling asleep. He wanted to wake them up. He says to him, you know, a woman gave birth in Mitzrayim, Shishim Ribo Bekeres Achas, not 6, 600,000. So there was one Talmid there whose name was Atana, Rabbi Shmuel, but Rabbi Yossi, and he says to Rabbi, can you elaborate? 600,000 in one shot? And Rabbi says, yes. That is Yocheved that bore Moshe, and Moshe has the weight corresponding to Klal Yisrael. How does Rabbi know this? Because the passage says, Az Yashir, Moshe, Uvnei Yisrael. Equating the two. He's just like them. Vayasu Bnei Yisrael kechol asher tziva Hashem es Moshe. Moshe commands, and Klal Yisrael does. Velo kam navi od beYisrael ke Moshe. Moshe has the weight corresponding to everybody in Klal Yisrael, so therefore it's considered as if when Yocheved gives birth to Moshe, she gives birth to 600,000, and the Tikkun Yazor says exactly that in Daf Kuf Yudalad Amud Aleph. Isha achas yalda shishim ribo bekeres echad, 600,000 in one shot. Umano, and who is this? Da Moshe deihu shakul keshishim ribo mi Yisrael. That is Moshe, who has the weight corresponding to 600,000 of Klal Yisrael. The day that Moshe was born, the Tanchuma says, and Rashi brings him, that the astrologers of Paro said, you know, today is the savior of Klal Yisrael was born. But we don't know, we're not sure if he's Egyptian or Jewish. And therefore, Paro decreed what he decreed, and he included his people along. But what were they thinking? Why in the world would the savior of Klal Yisrael will come from Egypt? Makes sense that he was born somewhere in Mea Shearim, in Goshen, I don't know, something to do with the Jewish people. Why would they be confused to think that he has to do with Egypt? Says the Maharal in Gur Aryeh. Who raised Moshe? The daughter of Paro, whom we call Batya, but that's not her name. Her name is Bitya, but we decided to butcher her name is to call her Batya, Basya. In Divrei Hayamim she appears only once, and her name is Bitya. Let's call her Basya. So she raised him. And since Chazal say in Sanhedrin Yud Tes and in Megillah Yud Gimel that if you raise somebody in your house, you have an orphan, it's counted as if you bore him. So the astrologers, they see things, but they're not exactly sure what they see. They see he's Egyptian, yeah, because he grows in the Egypt, in the palace in Egypt. He goes there by Paro, but he is from the seed of Klal Yisrael, and therefore they see mixed messages, and that's what confused them to think perhaps he's Egyptian, perhaps he's Jewish, because he really is both. And therefore, surprisingly enough, even though normally Moshe is referred to as Ben Amram in most places, in Sanhedrin Lamed Aleph Amud Beis he is called Ben Batya, the son of Batya. Why? Because she raised him. If you raise an orphan, you take care of him, it's counted as if you bore him. So that's what confused the Egyptians. In Medrash it says that Paro, after he got Saras, heard about a great cure, shecht 150 Jewish babies, bathe in their blood every morning, do the same every night, and you're good to go. And that's what he did. He shechted 150 babies in the morning, 150 babies at night, and he bathed in their blood. Comes the Chida in Choymas Anach, and it made David, and says, he brings some Sefer Parshas Drachim. Klal Yisrael thought, since they increase in numbers, such unbelievable numbers, 6 every single time, this is going to minimize the time they have to spend in Mitzrayim. Let's say you have 100 people who are supposed to be your slaves, but instead of 100 you get 200. So they do the work much faster. You don't have to keep him for the amount of time that you thought you're going to have to keep him. So Klal Yisrael is actually very excited about the fact that there's so many kids are born. They're increasing numbers. Great. However, when Paro got Saras and he started shechting the kids, 300 every day, 150 in the morning, 150 in the evening, they said, this is not going to work. He's killing us. If he's killing us, it's not going to minimize the time, reduce the time that we have to spend mitzvah. It's just going to increase the intensity of the slavery, again, to reduce the time. It's either that we have to increase our numbers or the intensity. So therefore it's terrible. If so many people are killed on a daily basis, that means the intensity of the slavery has to be so much more. And therefore, Vaye'anchu bnei Yisrael, from what? Min ha'avoida. They started sighing, oh, this is terrible, it's going to be so difficult. Says the Chidah, we should add to what the Parshas Dachim said. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Yaakov Avinu, Al tira mirda Mitzrayma. Don't fear going down to Mitzrayim. What's the latter part of the pasuk? Al tira mirda Mitzrayma ki legoy gadol asim chasham. Because you're going to be great in numbers. If you're going to be great in numbers, don't worry, you're not going to have to spend 400 years. Al tira. But when Klal Yisrael saw that this is not working, that means the promise to Yaakov Avinu out the window. That's why they're upset. With that explains the Chidah, what Chazal say in Pirkei Avos, Perek Dalet Mishnah Beis. Al tistakel bakankan, ela b'ma sheyesh bo. What does that mean? Don't look at the vessel, at the pitcher. Rather, look at the content. Al tistakel bakankan kufnun. What is kufnun? 150. Don't look at 150 kids who are shechted in the morning, 150 kids who are shechted at night, because Klal Yisrael made a mistake here. Because these babies who are shechted had a neshama of a rishayim gmurim. And therefore, al tistakel bakankan. Don't look at the 150 who are shechted in the morning and evening, and you're starting to calculate, oh, this is terrible, they're killing us. It's going to mean more intensive slave for us. No! Ela b'ma sheyesh bo. Don't look at the picture. Don't look at that 150. Look at ma sheyesh bo. All you have when you look at those neshamos are reshayim gemurim. Maybe it's not going to affect the time that they're going to have to spend in Mitzrayim. Amram marries Yocheved, and he has a zchus to have a Moshe Rabbeinu. It's pretty big. We know Amram was a giant of all giants, but why did he have the zchus to have a Moshe Rabbeinu? Why dafka Moshe Rabbeinu? I think perhaps it's a midah keneged midah. Moshe Rabbeinu is a symbol of anava. Va'ish Moshe anav meod mikol ha'adam. Parshas Be'alo Yisrael. He's so humble. And what did Amram do? Amram was so humble as well. How do we see it? The passage says, Vayikach es bas Levi. Vayikach. And Chazal darshins, this is the second marriage. First he divorced her. And then because of Miriam's prophecy that what you're doing to us is terrible, it's worse than Paro. And one day, could be that Moshe is going to be born. He listened to her. How old was Miriam at the time? Either 3 or 6 years old. You're Gadol Ador. Amram is Gadol Ador. And he's listening to a little kid who is telling him what to do? What another? And not only that, how did he remarry her? Secretly, in the basement? Even no one should know. It's so embarrassing. I made a mistake. And I had to listen to the rebuke of my little girl. No. He did it in Times Square. So everybody will do the same. Mimele, he displayed such anava. He wasn't embarrassed to say, Moide, I admit, I made a mistake. And he listens to a little girl. That's the peak of anava. Mimele, if you display such anava, you're zoichet to have Moshe Rabbeinu, who is the symbol of anava. So this pasuk says, Vayikach is bas Levi, Vayilech ish mebeis Levi, Amma marries Yocheved, a wedding. Gives us a chance to ask a question. Anywhere in Tanakh, all the way down to the time of the Chachamim in the Gemara, do we find a wife who is older than her husband? And I'm only looking for 11 answers. A wife who is older than her husband. Sarah Bas Asher? How old was her husband?
I feel like,
she lives for the longest.
but didn't she get married later?
Do you know her husband? Maybe he was ancient like her? Documentations. Yocheved! She's the first one. How old is she? What's the difference between her and her husband? 86. Soon we'll see. What are you saying? Anyone else? Miriam. Oh. So how old is she compared to her husband? What generation? Okay. Anyone else? Only 11 answers I'm looking for. Then we'll do some math. Anyone else? We have Miriam, older than her husband. She was the only wife to that husband. Caleb. You had more wives? Let's see it together. Amram, that we just quoted the pasuk talking about his marriage, married his aunt, and her name is Yocheved. Chazal say Yocheved, when was she born? Bein HaChoymas. In other words, when they enter Mitzrayim, that's when she's born. How long did we stay in Mitzrayim? 210 years. Moshe is 80 years old when we leave Mitzrayim, right? So how old was she when she gave birth to Moshe? 130 years old. Big ness. It's not mentioned for some reason in the Torah. But Ramban says don't be excited why it's not mentioned, because once Sarah Imenu, many years before that, gives birth at the age of 90, it already opens up the door for all kinds of interesting, you know what, there's somebody even before her. Much older. A lady who's 582 years old who gave birth. Her name is Naamah, the wife of Noach. 582, she gives birth for the first time. So, 130 is like a baby. Anyways, she is 130 years old. Amram, her husband dies at what age? Amram, 137. He was ready to see great-grandchildren for Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe married Tzipporah when he's 77 years old. Gershom, 3 years later, when he is 80. So let's assume that Gershom gets married very young at the age of 13. So Moshe is now 93 years old, right? He had him when he is 80, now 13 years later when he gets married. Let's assume he gets married so early, he's 93. Let's assume the son of Gershom also gets married at 93, because again, Amram saw great-grandchildren. So 93 plus 13 is 106. Amram dies at 137. So 130 of Yocheved, if she would still be around with us, plus 106 of Moshe would bring her to 236. Minus 137 of Amram, that's how old he is when he dies. Yocheved is older by 99 years than her husband, and she's the one who holds the record. 99 years difference. Eov was 18 years old, and he married Dinah, according to one opinion, Baba Basa, and she's only 59 years old. That means there's only 41 years difference between them. Medrash Talpios. Caleb is 40 years old. He testifies on himself in Yeshua, Perek Yudalet. When we left, and I was one of the spies, I was 40 years old. Miriam, when she leaves Mitzrayim, has to be 86. If her brother Moshe is 80 and she's 6 years older than him, she's 86. And this is the second year of when they left Mitzrayim. He says, I'm 40 years old. That means Miriam is 87. So she is 47 years older than her husband Caleb. Caleb married another lady. We mentioned her before, Basia, the daughter of Paro. So Caleb has two wives, and both of them are older than him. Because if Basia saves Moshe Rabbeinu, see, she's obviously older than Moshe, and Moshe is older than Caleb, because Caleb says, I'm 40 years old, when Moshe is 81 years old. So I don't know exactly how old Basia is. I don't know how old she is when she comes and saves Moshe, but she's definitely much older, by decades, than her husband Caleb. Noach is 498 years old, says Sefer Hayasha, when he marries a young lady, 580 years old, Naamah, the daughter of Chanuch. And Oinan, if you count them as two, it's actually not 11 answers, we're going to have 13 answers because we're going to have another couple before, soon. And Oinan married Tamar when they were 7 years old, Medrash Hagadol and Bereshis Mevav, Pasuk Yud Beis, and she was at least 60 years old. So we have at least 53 years difference between and Onan and their wife Tamar. Aaron HaKohen married Elisheva. Now Aaron HaKohen married Elisheva when he was 3 years old. She was already a midwife. She was already a Me'aletet. She's one of the Me'aldot, according to some Midrashim. Maybe she's got to be older than him. I don't know how old, but she is older than him. Chetzron and Chamul, they are the sons of Peretz, who is the son of Yehuda. The Tanchuma brings that before Yaakov Avinu went to Mitzrayim, he made sure to marry these grandsons of his. This is 1 year old and this one is 2 years old. That's the mother says. You have to assume their wives are older than him. I don't know what 1 year old would agree to get married. So he wanted to take care of his grandchildren. I don't know who married them. You have to assume the time of the Dekra says their wives were older than them. Sanhedrin Kuf Dalet Amud Aleph, the Gemara says, before the time of Churban Beis HaMikdash, the practice was to marry older ladies, not really, really old, but older than their husbands, and this will create fertility. It will increase fertility. That's what the Gemara says. Haman, they bring in the name of the Gaon Mevilna that Haman was younger than his wife Zeresh. I didn't find the source for that, but some say in the name of the Gra. And the last one is Reish Lakish. Who's Reish Lakish married to? Rabbi Yochanan's sister. But Metzia Peidal Amudalef, the whole Maisa, if you do tshuva, I'll give you my sister. Good. Rabbi Yochanan says about himself, I'm so lucky that I didn't see my parents, so I didn't stumble on the mitzvah of Kibud Av because it's so difficult to do. Kiddushin Lamed Aleph Amud Beis. Why didn't I see my parents? My father died, he said, when my mother was pregnant, and my mother died when she gave birth to me. So if Rabbi Yochanan has a sister, she has to be older than him, right? If his mother dies when she gives birth to him, obviously if there's a sister, she came before. In Me'ilah Daf Zayin Amud Beis, Rabbi Yochanan calls Reish Lakish Yenuka. Why are you calling him Yenuka? Says Rashi, because he was older than him. Reish Lakish compared to him as a Yenuka. It's a little kid. Mimele, if Rabbi Yochanan's sister is older than him, and Reish Lakish is younger than him, and Reish Lakish marries his Rabbi Yochanan's sister, Reish Lakish's wife is older than him. Basia sees the basket from far away, and for whatever reason she decides, I got to do something, even though it doesn't make sense that it will be successful because it's so far away. But you do something for Kodesh Baruch Hu, you get Siyata Dishmaya, and her arm extends. How much? 60 amma. Is there anybody else in Torah whose body parts start expanding and extending, any limbs extending? Anybody? Three people who are mentioned in the Torah. Torah. Three people who are mentioned in Chamisha Chumshei Torah. Me'aglim. You're sending us all the way to Bamidbar. That's the last one. What happened? What part of their body? Their tongue. All the way down to the belly button. Good. Who else? Me'aglim. Who else? What about Korach? He goes down under. What about Og Melech HaBashan? What happened to him? He's sitting and hanging out on the teva. But what happened to him? What happened to his teeth?
Got cut in the mouth.
The Gemara says, Shinei Reshoim Shirbavta. That is the teeth of Og Melech HaBashan, and the teeth just extended. Brachos Nun Daled Amud Beis. Here is the first one. The second one is Yosef. Medrash Rabbah says, Yosef was afraid that the Esav will come and look at his mother. And therefore, he tried to cover her. But Yosef is small. Rachel is bigger than him. So he stands right in front of her to hide her. But it doesn't work. A miracle happened. And his body expanded and extended and he grew taller. And now he covers Rachel so that Rasha will not be able to look at his mother. So we have three people. Medrash Rabbah. Bereish Yisraba, Or HaChaim brings it as well. Bereish Yisraba, Ayin Ches, Ois Yud. ויגדל הילד ותביאהו לבס פרעה וילה לבן. Basia takes Moshe, she raises him. Vatikra Shemoi, Moshe. Why Moshe? What do you mean why? I told you why. Vatomer, ki min hamayim eshisiu, because I pulled him out of the water. She calls him Moshe because she pulled him out of the water? What does that mean? Some explain. Not that she pulled Moshe out of the water. She pulled the name Moshe. Vatikra Shema Moshe ki mishisim, because I found the word Moshe in the water. How do you find names of people in water? Maim is spelled Mem, Yud, Mem. Mem, if you start counting, Aleph plus Beis plus Gimel plus Dalet plus Hey plus Vav plus Dain plus Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, all the way to Mem is 145. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, 5, 6, 7, 145. Yud, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 is 55. Mem, Mayim, Mem, Yud, Mem is another 145. 145 times 2? 290. Plus 55 of the Yud. 345, that's Moshe. I found the name Moshe in the water. Kimin Hamayim Meshisiu. I pulled Moshe out of the water, and that's why I called him Moshe. So let's talk about Moshe. Pile ploim. Vatiftach v'tireu es hayeled. She opened up the basket. She sees the Yeled. Yeled sounds like he's very little, right? We know how old he was. How old was he? How old was he? Was he placed in the basket? 3 months old. But in the same pasuk, the Torah continues. Vehine. It should be Yeled boche. I saw a Yeled, and now suddenly he changed into Nar. Vehine Nar boche. What's a Nar? A lad, a young boy. What's a Nar? What's the definition? From what age? You just called him a Yeled. He's a baby. And now you're saying a Nar. How old is he? What's a Nar?
Sounds like 16.
16. Who told you not 15?
I don't know, Yosef.
6.
From Bar Mitzvah? Then he's a Nar.
From Yosef, we learned that, no?
3. Why 3? 3 years, you mean? Why? You're saying on very great numbers without providing any documentation.
Oh, no. Shemot. Rivka, we say no.
By the way, to what age can you be called a Nar? I don't know what much older means. 21?
As long as he's still like a nar.
What is Yeshua called? Nar! How old is he? 54! You can still be, if you come with vigor, with excitement, like a Nar, you're called a Nar.
Yosef was 17 when he was a nar?
Yeah, but he's young. We're talking about 54. A person who's 54 is still called a Nar. And Klal Yisrael is also called a Nar. Pasuk in Yeshaya. Ki Nar Yisrael va'ohaveu. I love my children. Some of people in Klal Yisrael are pretty old, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls them a Nar. But when does it start? Comes the Gana de Pilpilei and makes such a remarkable calculation. Yuma Pei Beis Amud Aleph, and the Rambam Mishvisa Sa'aso Perek Beis Allah Yud says, the pasuk says, Chanoch lanar al pi darkoi. Educate the nar according to his ways. What does that mean? Mitzvah chinuch. And in Yuma Pei Beis and Shvisa Sa'aso we learn you start educating the kid, the nar, to start fasting and other mitzvahs from the age of 9. Which means nar is from the age of 9. So the pasuk here says that there's a little kid. We know that the pasuk says he's 3 months old, but you're calling him a nar, which means he's 9 years old. She heard a sound, baby crying. Moshe was crying. Hine na'ar boiche. She heard a sound of a 9-year-old. How is that possible? How tall is Moshe Rabbeinu? 10 amma. Brachos nun daled amud beis, Shabbos sadi beis amud aleph. There's opinion there that all the Leviim were 10 amos, but one opinion says only Moshe. 10 amos tall. A normal height of a person? Eruvim memches amud aleph, 3 amos tall. You have to assume that if Moshe is 10 amos tall, he's also 10 amos wide and 10 amos. You're asking why? Very simple. Because the Gemara asks, you want to tell me he was so tall and so thin like a needle? You're making him a Baal Mum, Nedorim Lamedches. Because a person who's very, very tall and very, very thin, like a needle, is considered a Baal Mum. It's a Gemara in Brachos Bechoiros Daf Mem Hei Amud Beis. And therefore the Gemara says he was big in all dimensions. So if he is 3.3 times greater than a regular person who's 3 amos, he is 10 amos, he's 3.3, you must assume to be proportionate. He is 3.3 times the size in all dimensions. That's 3 dimensions, if that's the case. How big is he compared to other people? In order to find 3 times 3.3, you have to do 3.3 times 3.3 times 3.3, and that is 37. Which means Moshe Rabbeinu's size is 37 times the size of regular people. Good. Medrash Tanchuma says that just as Moshe Rabbeinu was big, unnaturally, it's very, very unnatural. He's 10 amos tall. So too, he actually grew up very, very fast. In fact, the Medrash Shab at the end of his Zoysa Bracha says that, the day I was born, he was arguing with the Malachim who came to Malach HaMavis, who came to take him, and he didn't want to leave. And he says to the Malach HaMavis, the day I was born, I started talking. I started walking. Don't mess with me. Moshe Rabbeinu, unbelievable argument with the Malach HaMavis. So everything about him is not natural. He was 3 months old when he was in the Teva, but if he is 3 months old, but everything about him is supernatural and it's times 37, so how old is he really? 3 times 37, how many months is he really? 3 times 37? 111 months old. What's 111 months old? If there's 12 months in a year, So 111 divided by 12 is 9 years and 3 months. But we don't have extra 3 months because in every cycle of 19 years you have 7 leap years. So in 9 years you have 3 leap years. If that's the case, you have to take those 3 extra months that we had and put them in, and it's exactly 111 months is exactly 9 years. Meaning, we said the definition of a nar is 9 years old. Guess what? Moshe is exactly 9 years old. So he is 3 months old biologically, technically, according to our time in the calendar. But when she hears him, she hears a sound of a baby, of a nar who is 111 months old, which is exactly 9 years old, because that's the definition of nar. I think you should add to what the Gan of the people says, because in Sanhedrin Samechtes Amud Aleph it says that in Doyos HaRishonim, early times, they used to grow really, really fast. Some people gave birth at 8 years old. Haran. And other people, Memele, it's not such a big surprise, especially with Moshe Rabbeinu, that everything about him is supernatural.
Who is that? Who writes that? Do you know?
Gana de Pilpele, a basket of peppers, by Brandwine, from Beit V'Gad Yerushalayim. Yocheved asks Basia to nurse her son. And she does. She pays him. She pays her for it. Was she allowed to take the money? If Yocheved would know, this lady is actually the mother of the baby, wouldn't she call her Mekach Taos? Excuse me, can you make my money? You have to do this. You have to nurse your own baby. And you want to do it. So you think I'll pay you for what you need to do and what you want to do? Can she call a Mekach Taos? Can Yocheved actually take the money? Or is it stealing?
You have to pay for someone to nurse the baby. So
Someone else who's not chayav. As a mother, she has to do this anyways. So why should she be compensated? And more than that, even if she's not chayav, if Basia finds out you're actually paying the mother of this kid, you think she would be excited about it? So how can you take the money?
She cannot say that she's the mother. She would be
If Basia would find out, would she say, excuse me lady, give me back the money please? You're his mother, of course you're going to do this. Can you take money for something you're obligated to do? Says the Chido, what she asked, she's a princess. She grows up in a palace. She's not a regular. She asked Yocheved, make sure to eat the finest, best food out there. Don't settle for a pita bread and some milk in the morning. I want you to eat the best foods so this baby grows in the best possible way. And she paid her for the extra. Delicacies. I want you to have steak for three times every single day. For steak you have to pay. I don't have to go and buy steak every single day. I have to buy the basics. If you want me to buy more expensive food, you have to pay for it, and that's what you pay for. That's the Chido. The Ha'amigdavo says differently. He says, this is a queen, Basia. You think when she goes to the store and the guy didn't give her the right change, a shekel and a half, she's going to argue with him, excuse me, where's my money? You think she argues with the cab driver over 5 shekels? It's the princess. It's a totally different mahalach. Mimere, princess pay be'ayin yafa. And in Kings he says, the idea of mekach taus is not shaykh. It's embarrassing for a king to start arguing with you about how much did he pay already? How much did she pay for a nursing lady? Mimere, he says it's not a shayla, Yocheved can take the money. But can a person bichlal demand compensation for something he has to do? Can I tell you, breathe! For every breath you take, I'm going to pay you. You have to breathe anyways. And Shulchan Aruch Even Ezer, and Simin Pei, and the sources in Ksubis Nuntes in the Mishnah, we learned that a woman must nurse her son. So can you demand money? Can Yocheved come and say, Rebbetzin, you have to pay me? Gemara says in Kiddushin Daf Ches, a man says to a woman, I want to marry you. Iskacheli bekikar zeh, I want to use this loaf of bread to marry you. And she says, Tnehu le'ani, give it to you see the poor person over there? Give it to him. Is she mekudeshes? Says the Gemara, she's not mekudeshes. Even if this ani is samuch al shulchana, she is the one who normally provides for him, and she now gains. She actually receives something from you, because instead of taking money out of her pocket, something that belongs to her, she's taking something that belongs to you. So that's ana, that's actual money. So why is she not mekudeshes? Because she's saying to the guy, just like I'm obligated to sustain this ani yutum. You're also a Jew. Klal Yisrael have to be mefarnes the ani. And therefore, I only said to you, give it to the ani because you're chayav to do something. Even though I'm gaining something from it, because normally I sustain this ani. And therefore she is not mekudesh because it comes out he didn't give her anything. Says the Yad David over there, she is not mekudeshes, not because of the tzedakah, because she actually intended to make fun of him. She said, want to give it to me? Give it to the ani. That's why she's not mekudeshes. But if, in fact, she wants to be mekudeshes with this loaf of bread, she will be. You see from here that even though she is obligated to do something, she normally is the one providing for this ani, she can get compensation for it and will consider the loaf of bread as if she received something from that man, and therefore she is married to him. The Rema says, Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat, and Siman Reish, Samech Dalet Seif Dalet. Two people were caught, they're now in jail. And one of them spent a lot of money, and he was able to release both of them. Does the second person have to pay the first guy who spent the money? Depends, says the Rema. If the second person wouldn't be able to be released without the expenses of his friend, he has to pay him. But only in a condition that he also spend money to save him. But if he only spend money to save himself, and by doing so somehow you're able to tag along and to be released as well, the second guy does not have to pay him. According to that, our Basya didn't spend money for herself to be, Batya spent money for herself to be able to raise Moshe Rabbeinu, and therefore Yocheved doesn't have to give her $1 back. She is doing everything for herself as if she wants to release herself from jail. She is doing, all the expenses she's paying is for herself because she has an agenda. I want to raise a Moshe. In order to raise a Moshe, I need a lady who's going to nurse him. Maybe she's doing it all for herself, and Yocheved can take the money and doesn't have to return anything, and Yocheved cannot claim a Mekach Taus.
Question, if Moshe Rabbeinu was like Shemot 9 years old, why would he be nursing him?
Because Lemai say he's 3 months old, and a 3 months old needs to nurse. He's a very tall baby, a 3 months old baby, who has a voice sounding like a 9-year-old. A pele.
Based on the two guys in jail, if someone gets redeemed, do they have to pay back the people who redeemed them?
Reuven is in jail.
They're in jail.
Reuven is in jail. Who redeemed him?
The other person in jail redeemed them.
Good. So if he spent money only for himself, and by default he took his friend along, he doesn't have to pay him, says the Rema.
If he's in jail, and someone comes and redeems them from it, the person in jail has to pay the person back?
Sure, why not? How else would he redeem him? He owes him.
It's not you should, like,
If he wants the money back, of course you pay him. There's still a mitzvah for the person to go and redeem him. But he has to pay. The Rema says, talking about nursing ladies, Yoredea, Simen Pei Aleph, Seif Zayin, an Egyptian milk, any Goyish milk, is it kosher? Not from a cow, from a woman. Can you actually nurse it? Can you drink it? It's kosher. Baby. Can you? The Rema says it's kosher. However, don't do it. Because Goyish milk can cause timtum alev. Can cause your brain to go, you're going to forget the Torah. Won't be able to retain anything you learn. It's going to affect the person, this kid, later on in life. Says the Shach, even though when you see a minor eating wrong things, midirabanan, his father is not commanded from the Torah to separate him from doing so. That's midina, al pidin. But lemaise, since we know it's going to harm him and it's going to create timtum halev and a bad nature and bad character trait, stop him. Based on this, what if you have a Goyish lady working for you? She grew up in your house. She only ate kosher. Immediately, we're not afraid that everything, all the chazir that she ate is going to cause timtum alev by this kid. She only ate kosher from the get-go. Can you use her as the nursing lady? Lo plug. But they're giving us the reason. This is not a dioraisa. This is a derabonon, a suggestion, because al pi din you're allowed to. They're telling you it's going to cause timtum alev. It's going to cause bad midos. But what's going to cause? Because she was eating shratzim And Velos her whole life. But this one we know, she ate kosher. Kosher, lemehadrin mina mehadrin, only badats. And maybe even bagats. That hopefully she didn't eat. Can you use her? It seems that would be a machlokes. Why? The Rashba in Yevamos brings that the bad midos of the Goyish influences the kid, and it makes, in other words, it doesn't make a difference what she eats or what it doesn't eat. She is not Jewish. She has different built than us. Her bad minos are there, and therefore when he drinks from her, he is going to be affected, regardless of what she eats or doesn't. On the other side, we have the Ritva in Avodah Zarah that says, it's because they eat shkatzim and remasim, and their milk is going to create cruelty by the kid, and midos raus, meaning the timtum halev is going to be affected only because of what she ate. That is what Rashi seems to imply as well in Soita Daf Yud Beis, and therefore writes the Beis David based on Rashi that if we can watch the Goyish lady to only eat kosher, it shouldn't be a problem. The Chida comments on the Ritva and says that it seems that even if from now on she's only going to eat kosher, what she ate in the past, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, can also affect the baby. But licheoila. And the Netziv also writes that if you can watch the lady to make sure she only eats kosher, it's not going to affect the baby. So if this Goyish lady will only eat kosher at the time that she nurses the baby, some say that lechatchila, you're allowed to give her to nurse the baby, and it's not going to cause timtum halev. But what if she only eats kosher? The most kosher chametz on Pesach. Kosher. Year round is great. But she happens to eat it on Pesach. Or a Jewish lady. She eats chazir. Is that a problem? She's Jewish. But she's eating chazir because the doctor told her to eat chazir. When the doctor tells her to eat chazir, is it an isu? It's a mitzvah. The same HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, stay away from chazir. The same HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, make sure you eat the chazir when the doctor tells you, because when ishmartem meod nafshechem tzipikuach nefesh hayla. Is that going to create timtum halev? How do we look at that? What do you say? What do you say? You like it or not?
Yes.
It's going to create timtum halev?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, we said it even causes for the woman also, right? If she eats, it's also mitam to live. So why wouldn't it go through the milk?
It's a machlokes when a person is a pikuach nefesh and he has to eat, is it going to cause timtum halev or not? The Ran says no. The Ran says, how can it be that you listen to the Torah, you listen to the Chachamim, and you eat something, you ate it? I'm going to show you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to punish you. How does that make sense? But many others say, Meshech Chochmah, many others, it's a mitzius. When you put your hand in the fire, no matter who told you to do it, the hand will burn. Machalos asuros, metamtem libo shel. That's just a mitzius. It's a big machlokes.
I heard many stories of people who ate.
What's that?
People who ate things that were certified kosher, but they were not, and then the timtum halev happened. The story I heard of what happened in Germany when they had shoctim not good, and people thought they were eating kosher, but they were not, and they caused the timtum and everything that happened.
So I guess those people who did cause them timtum halev followed the Meshech Chochmah. Those people that it didn't affect them, they listened to the Ran. They're followers of the Ran. It's a big machlokes. The Or HaChaim HaKodesh also says, it's a mitzius. If you eat something wrong, you're going to be affected. So, it's a machlokes. There's a machlokes if isurim that are time dependent. In other words, chametz is kosher. It just happens to be that for a week, they're telling you now it's an isu. What is that exactly? The Sha'arei Deya in Siman Pei Zayin says, chametz, eating chametz on Pesach does not cause any harm. It's an isu. A big one. It's kares. But it doesn't cause timtum halev. So according to that, we can give this nursing lady to nurse our baby if she only eats kosher, even if it happens to be chametz on Pesach. Shulchan Aruch Harav, Or HaChaim Shin Mem Gimel, Save Yud writes, there's no difference. When it's asu, it's asu. And therefore it doesn't make a difference that, technically speaking, this is a kosher food. If you're not allowed to eat it, it's going to cause timtum halev. And according to that, lichoira, we should not give the goyish nursing lady to nurse our kid, even if she eats only kosher, but she eats it in the wrong time. But it could be that even according to Shulchan Aruch Harav, who says no good, when she eats chametz in Pesach, if it's a heter, because the doctor told her, maybe he even will agree that it doesn't cause Timtum Alev. And on the other hand, it could be that even according to the Sha'arei Deah, who says that's not a problem, he would also agree it is a problem because of the Mishnah Bura. Mishnah Bura and Simin Taf Memches and Ilchos Pesach writes, what about a milk of a behema that eats chametz? Even if it belongs to a goy, which means the behema is doing nothing wrong. The goy is doing nothing wrong by feeding it chametz. There's a big machlokes achronim. So according to that, if the Jewish lady is our nursing lady and she eats chametz, stay away from her milk. If she is eating it because she is sick, could be mistama, you will be able to nurse from her, and from a goy or lichora, you should not be able to. The effect of a nursing lady on the baby is mamish unbelievable. Comes the Yavitz in Migdal Oiz, and he writes, you should know, when the baby nurses from whoever is nursing him, it affects him so much that we know, and researchers say, he's referring to doctors, he tells a story about a kid who nursed from a chazir, and when he grew up, you would always find him playing in the garbage. And another kid nursed from a goat, and when he grew up, you would always find him by the trees, biting leaves of the tree. And he says certain diseases come because of the milk that you had. If the lady who nursed you had all kinds of weird diseases, the kid will have them as well. He says, stay away from a wrong nursing lady.
Would you find a very strict chassid would not allow their child to nurse from a lady to go out for some Pesach?
Even a very strict chassid will admit that geboks on Pesach is only a chumrah, because many of them will eat geboks on the 8th day, so it's not an iso. It's a chumrah be'alma. Avoisai, listen to a maise. Reuven donated money to a very chashut tzedakah organization. There was a raffle. 2 weeks later, the menayel of this institution calls him and says, Reuven, mazel tov, you won! Wow, thank you so much, that's great. What did I win? A beautiful, expensive laptop. That's amazing. So please come to our offices and we'll do a whole big ceremony for you. It'll be very, very special. Wow. Where are you located? He says, down here in Dimona. Reuven lives in Tzfat. I'm not going from Tzfat all the way to Dimona. It's a waste of so many hours. Mitol I have to sit and learn. Okay, thank you very much. He hangs up and he takes the ticket and throws it to the garbage. Shimon, his neighbor, happened to be there. He saw exactly what happened and he heard the conversation. Reuven goes back into his house. Shimon takes the ticket, the raffle ticket, out of the garbage. And Shimon knows how to do things. He calls the institution, calls the minyan, and he says, I thought about it. What chutzpah do you guys have? I donated, as you know, a very nice sum, very nice. To tell me to come all the way to Dimona, what were you thinking? You really think it gives him motivation to ever donate to you again? Don't you think it would be right that you send it to me? I have to go and spend a whole day, it's a whole day event, going from Tzfat. I need to sit and learn. What's wrong with you? How do you operate your business? Think about it. Why would I ever donate to you again? And anyone that I tell them to, my friend, my rich friends, nobody's going to give you $1. And the man says, you're absolutely right. I'm really, really sorry. Tomorrow we're going to send this laptop with a shaliach all the way to your house. And Shimon says, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's the right thing to do. At 2 o'clock, our shaliach will be there. 2 o'clock, the shaliach comes. They have the address of Reuven, obviously. Shaliach knocks on the door, and Reuven opens up and says, here's your laptop. Wow, thanks so much. Great. He receives it, closes the door, and 13 seconds later, who knocks on the door? Shimon. He says, I see you just received the laptop. That laptop is mine. It's yours. It's mine. It's my, I won this with a raffle. No. You threw out the ticket, which means you gave up ownership. You gave up ownership on the laptop. You gave up ownership on the ticket. It's no longer yours. It's hefker. The only reason it's here is because of me. I called him. I told him to send it here. It's mine. Machlokes. Reuven says, what are you talking about? It's mine. They sent it to me. Shimon says, they sent it to you only because of me. It's mine. Who owns this laptop? Reuven gave up ownership. He made it hefker.
They only made it hefker.
Yush! He gave up ownership.
He only made it hefker because he didn't realize they're going to send it to him. Had he known, he never would have made it hefker.
But who made them send it to him? Shimon. So why shouldn't it be owned by Shimon? Reuven or Shimon? Reuven. Why Reuven?
Shimon helped him. It's okay. He did a nice thing.
Shimon helped himself, not Reuven.
He even owned it.
He used to own it. He gave up ownership when he said, not interested, hang up, throw out the ticket.
You know his intention is not based on knowing that you get it.
What about a third option? It belongs to the yeshiva.
I was going to say it belongs to the yeshiva.
When Reuven gives up ownership, he says, I'm not interested. So now it comes back to the original owner, which never left his hands, which means it's the institutions. You're saying Reuven.
They give back to Reuven afterwards.
What's that?
It would belong, assuming he was miyash on it, it belonged to the yeshiva.
Right.
And then the yeshiva brought this angry message and they said, you're right, we should send it back. And they send it, they were meichel again, and they give it back to Reuven.
So it is Reuven's? Anyone thinks that it's actually belongs to Shimon? You said Shimon. Anybody wants to join him? Don't be afraid. Everybody agrees it belongs to Reuven. Shimon. Anyone else joining Shimon?
I'm going with the yeshiva.
With the yeshiva. Ooh, I wanted to say Hachi Yavu Shlishi veYachia B'neihem, but you're making things just more complicated because you're giving us three options. It is clear that it doesn't belong to Shimon. It belongs to Reuven. Why? When the yeshiva sends it to Reuven, do they want it to go into the hands of Shimon that never gave them $1? The yeshiva is very happy to give it to Reuven because he's our donor and we want to keep a good name and we want to make sure that he keeps donating money. So when Reuven receives it in his hands, he now reacquires it with the permission of the sender. It's exactly what the sender wants. The sender does not want it to go to Shimon. Chas v'sholom. He never gave us $1. He lied to us. No interest in him becoming the owner. Only Reuven. But, so then that is clear. Comes Shimon and says, fine, you're right. It's not mine. But I should be compensated. The only reason yet you may have it, Reuven, is because of me. Because I called and I explained to them that it's wrong, they send it. Don't you think I should be, I'm a broker here. Don't you think I should be compensated? Should he be compensated or not? You have to give him something? What's that?
Nobody asked him.
Nobody asked him?
Yeah,
What about Yored L'Sdei Chaveiro? You go to your friend's field and you work the land and you approve it. You don't get compensated? You do? Nobody asked you. But let me say I benefited you. You want to pay him?
He deserves something.
How much is something?
Broker's commission.
I'm not so sure there's other people who are doing exactly in this field, very limited. Baruch Hashem.
He shouldn't get compensated.
Why?
He did it for himself.
He didn't do it.
The obligation of Hana is when Derech HaOlam is to pay for something like that. You go to my field, you work the field, it's normal for a field, for somebody to come into the field, even though it's without my permission. That's what people do in fields. But to do it in a way, in a deceiving way like this is not something that people normally pay for. Even though there's a din of nehene, simen kuf chaf tes. And especially here, when you go to somebody else's field and you improve the place, you're doing something for someone else. Here, Shimon did it for himself. He wasn't even thinking about Reuven. He doesn't have to give him $1. However, Reuven should show hakaras hatoiv to Shimon. I don't know what. Maybe he should give him some, maybe flowers before Shabbos, a bottle of wine, some kind of form of hakaras hatov. Why? Because of our pasha. What's the connection to our pasha? The daughters of Yisrael go back home, and their father asks, "Oh, how come you came so early today? What happened?" He says, "Don't ask. Don't ask." You know, the shepherds, not only did they not give us water for the animals, they actually threw us into the water. The Medrash is Medaigit, Shmois Rabbah, from the pasuk that says double language. Vegam dalo dala lanu. What does it mean, dalo dalo lanu? Why doesn't it say once? He drew water for us once. Dalo dala. Twice. Why? Because first the shepherds threw the daughters of Yisrael into the water. And they would drown and die. Moshe came and saved them. Dalo, he pulled them out. And then dala lanu, and he gave water to the animals. So they called Moshe, you know who saved us? Ish Mitzri, an Egyptian man. Ask the Medrash, Ish Mitzri? You're calling Moshe Rabbeinu, that's his name now? Ish Mitzri? The Medrash says, I'll explain to you with a mashal. There's a guy who was bitten by a snake. So he heard that it's good to go to the water, put your leg into the water if you have that. He runs to the water, he puts his foot in the water, and suddenly he feels a little head of a little kid. Ah, there's a kid here! And he takes him out and he saves him. And the kid says, wow, thank you so much. You saved my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the man says, why are you thanking me? Thank the snake. The only reason I'm here is because of the snake. So too said Moshe. When the daughters of Yisro said, wow, you saved us from the water. Thank you so much. That's why are you thanking me? Thank the Ish Mitzri that I killed a long time ago in Mitzrayim, and because of that, Paro wanted to kill me, and I had to run away all the way here. He saved you, not me. That's why he's called an Ish Mitzri. Reb Chaim Shmulevitz is medayek from here, that if you get some kind of a benefit from a person who never intended to benefit you, you owe him a karas tatoif. Did the Egyptian man that Moshe killed want to save, to benefit the daughters of Yisro? He didn't even know they exist. Did the snake want to save that little kid? What's the connection? But lemaisa, you got some kind of a benefit. If you get some kind of benefit from a person who never intended to benefit you, says Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, you owe him a karas tatoif. Shimon never intended to benefit Reuven. That's clear. He wanted to benefit himself. But lemaisa, you got something good out of him, you should show him appreciation. What type of appreciation? I don't know. Some kind of a form of a karas tatoif. The laptop remains in the hands of Reuven. A karas tov he owes Shimon.
Isn't this a machlokes in the Gemara? Because one of the Tanaim, or the Amoraim, was saying how marvelous these bridges and roads the Romans have made.
Yeah, avodah zarah at the beginning, avodah of Dalet. Yes. First of all, it could be that there's a machlokes about goyim and non-goyim. Meshech Chochmah and Parshas Vayera discuss it. I think we discussed it a few times in the past, but you're going all the way to avodah zarah when you could have stopped at Parshas Chukas. Moshe Rabbeinu is about to fight Og Melech HaBashan. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Al tira, don't fear him. And Chazal ask, Midah Samech Aleph, why should he fear him? Rashi brings it on the spot. He fought his brother Sichon. He's also a giant like him. And nobody told him, don't be afraid. No problem. But you're fighting Og, you should be afraid. Rashi brings, why? Because Og had a schus. Schus that carried him over for hundreds of years. What schus? He told Avraham Avinu, do you know that your nephew, Lot, was kidnapped? Wow, what a tzaddik. He's helping Avraham, and Avraham goes to fight, and he rescues Lot. What a tzaddik. And why did he do it? Because he wanted Avraham to go to fight and die so he can marry Sarah Imenu. What a tzaddik. But lemaise, you got some kind of a benefit. Such a big benefit that carries you over for hundreds of years, and Moshe Rabbeinu is afraid of Og because of this sus. Soita Mem Beis. No, Mem Zayin, I think. In Sanhedrin Kufay, the Gemara says, Bischar 42 korbanos shehikriv Balak, for the merit of 42 korbanos that Balak brought, Zacha v'yatza mimeno, who comes out of him? Us, which means Melech HaMashiach comes from Balak. For what? Oh, he brought korbanos to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Korbanos for what? To destroy Klal Yisrael. What a tzaddik. Yeah, but Lemaise brought korbanos to Klal Yisrael. It to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You brought korbanos, you receive us, you receive Melech HaMashiach. You see what Reb Chaim Shmulevitz is saying. You get some kind of a benefit from someone who didn't intend at all. We owe him hakaras atov, at least, and upstairs in Shemayim, there's also some susim involved. Just want to mention that the next few weeks, next 3 Shabbos, we're not going to have a shir here, because Mitzvah Hashem, Motzi Shabbos, I'm flying to the States to speak in different communities, so our next shir here, in Mitzvah Hashem, is Friday, Erev Shabbos, Parshas Yisroi. Mitzvah Hashem should all have a wonderful, stay safe and stay dry. Mitzvah Hashem should have a wonderful Shabbos.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.